get our with this nice red shirt. Look like I just got off work at Circuit City. Tell you, we got the best deals. Best Buy's going down.
Make sure that that's actually recording. Yeah.
All right.
Welcome back to the Underhold. This is a proper episode. We might be coming up with some different names for some different types of episodes. This is going to be about Midsommar, so it's going to be more relevant than the other stuff we've been putting out. Ideally, in the future, we would like to put out stuff right when it comes out.
But
goals.
Life.
We're already just working on better audio, better video, better everything. But,
So welcome to the Underhold. I'm Robert.
I'm Sinclair. You priest! Which is just nonsense. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, not in relation to this cult film, though. Or cult-related movie. I didn't watch her, heads up for the audience, I did not watch this movie. I did read one review on it, so I'm going in like an expert. You know, I'm going to go around. I don't remember the guy's name who directed it. I know it starts with some A's.
Ari Aster.
Ari Aster. He directed Hereditary?
Hereditary.
Anything else? These are the only things?
Those are the only two things I know of.
Huh.
And he wrote both, I think.
Okay. I did see that he wrote or made this movie after a horrific breakup.
Yeah, I guess he's talking
about... Is there a lot of
about...
links to that in the movie?
There is. So...
Why don't you run us down with the whole plot, then?
It's about a couple of... It's like Cindy and Daniel. I'm sure I'm just... Christian? I don't know.
You think that might
be...
Christian,
Daniel.
So you think that could mean something? Because the name Christian give you that idea the whole time of faith? Because you get in your mind that there was a religion.
There's a religion in the movie. I don't know if that part's relevant. It could be. It's something to think about, because I do think maybe it was Christian.
Because I know this guy is like foreshadow the movie. Like, this is what he did in Hereditary. You got the mom in that movie essentially telling everything that's going to happen in reverse.
Dioramas.
Yeah. And I don't know, is she a crime scene expert? Like, I don't even know what her fucking job was. So it's just art.
Yeah.
And there's somebody on the phone like, where's the fucking art, man? Where's the art? Pause.
But, so a lot of it is about a toxic relationship. And neither is, like, too abusive to the other, but it's just run its course, and neither is doing the work to mend it so much. And it does seem like the female character is starting to go down that path a little bit of wanting to mend it.
Like she wants to fix it, but he doesn't? Is that what
he's a little bit done, but he's not ready to sever it.
He's like, man, I gotta get this chick out, but the pussy's good.
Not quite. It's just...
Because it doesn't have romantic feelings? Does it show you that?
Not too much, no. Okay. It's just kind of done, but nobody's like being horribly abusive to the other. But she goes through a thing where her sister, who is bipolar, kills herself and kills their parents. So she has this big loss. And I don't know if it has to do with anything the rest of the film, like Hereditary does, where everything was like a plan. Like if this has to do with what has to do with the cult or the community that has to do with later in the film and their plans and ideas and stuff, or if this is just an explanation of her journey of why she makes decisions later in the film.
Yeah, because I definitely was he's a big foreshadow guy, so that could be, you're probably right along that. There's probably some connection there, giving her no anchors.
Now there is something later in the movie where there is a spell that happens essentially leading to something, so you don't know if that's already happening necessarily or not. There could be some signals later on in the movie as we get to a part that has to do with paintings. So if you find paintings that have to do with her parents and her sister, definitely put that in the comments, because that could be something that we have not completely put together yet. But I would not be surprised. Yeah,
it could be just definitely some Easter eggs off the side that the normal audience hasn't already, the 900 other videos haven't thrown out. You know, there's gotta be some hidden stuff in there.
So there's always the stuff of like her boyfriend is hanging out with his buds, and they're always like, when are you gonna dump her and things like that. And then they plan on going on a trip, and she doesn't find out till they're at a party, and he's basically decided he's gonna go without telling her at that point.
That's how I make plans.
And then, you know, he's like, oh no, I was gonna invite you to, you know, and then she completely takes him up on it, and they
So he begrudgingly brings her?
Kind of.
Oh, he's like, fuck.
There's parts where, like, talking with them, it's like, oh, I invited her. She's not going to go. And then she's like,
don't worry, she won't come.
And there's a great edit that's very much like Hereditary, where Hereditary has some cool, like, room-to-room edits. They do that, and Ari Aster does that in this, but he also changes time and not just the room. So she leaves one room and ends up on the airplane in the next room.
Okay, so there's cool little cuts that are played.
Yeah, he definitely he does some cool editing and stuff too. I guess he also references a little bit of The Shining when they do get to Sweden.
Oh yeah, I think I saw like there's some overhead shots of the commercial that look like the opening.
And one of the people who's one of the students along with them is from this North European area, and a main part of this trip is going to be to visit this society he's from.
Do they say it for sure? It's Sweden, or is it like some unknown?
I think they say exactly where it is. I think it was Sweden.
Okay.
I could be wrong where it was, but they say where it is. It's not like that's not really hidden.
Yeah, because like Sweden right now, it's like filled with Nazis again.
You have their group and then the person from that community, and then they meet up with somebody else from that community who's also been to college, and he's brought in a couple of friends with him too. And they get together and they hang out and they do some drugs, and there's some cool trippy moments of that become a regular thing in the movie when there's drugs, of just the way things look.
And see, that's something I've always been intrigued between, I guess, your viewing experience and mine. Sinclair doesn't do a lot of drugs.
Yeah.
I don't think you've ever done drugs. Not that I ever prescribed for your.
Although I do think I got partially roofied last week.
Oh, nice!
Yeah.
How'd that feel?
Well, yeah, I took an STI test just in case.
Is this for fucking what's her name? The Star Theater you went to right after? Oh, great! If you go to the Star Theater, make sure your hand is on your glass, right? Because you might see some stars later, like Bill Cosby. Or oh. Sorry, that was a pretty bad hack.
Real dark.
Not like Bill Cosby. Oh. That's a joke about Bill Cosby being black. See, we went real dark and it went not like Bill Cosby.
Oh.
Yeah, womp.
Yeah, that was...
Right down here below what kind of piece of shit I am for that joke.
Yeah.
Okay, so... What I was getting at is, like, a lot of times the depiction of drug use in movies is not accurate to drug use experiences. And I always think it's like, the people who don't know how drugs are like, this is what pot's like. And it's always the most over-exaggerated, goofy, like, look at my fucking hand kind of stuff. Is that what you're going at?
Things are a little warped, but she also has a reference of seeing, like, grass grow through her hand, which is kind of a reference to other stuff going on with her and this community. So
the drugs have even, or the drug experience.
And these are the community's drugs. Like, they're very specific.
Oh, the community gives them the drugs.
So this guy's like, hey, we have some tea made out of these, these mushrooms that our community makes, or you can just eat them. She has the tea. And then she has a little bit of a freak out. And you get to see some of the
more foreshadowing in that.
Also just some comedy stuff, too. So unlike Hereditary, this has some comedic breaks in it having to do with, like, a douchey character in their group. And so he has a bad trip. So there's some funny stuff with him. So...
But isn't there like some of it's to purposely distract the audience? Like at one point, there's some people playing a game. Like, what are they playing? Oh, Skin the Fool, ho ho! And they make a joke about it when you're like, oh, that's a thing that comes up.
Oh, maybe there's so much stuff going on in the background.
Okay.
And this next scene is where everything I think really picks up. Everything's almost like the prelude, and now you got the real beginning of the film.
Once they get into this fair.
Yeah, so they walk through this big sun entrance, and there's a big field, and this is the community, and this is where almost the whole rest of the movie is going to take place. I think it is pretty much like where the whole movie takes place.
It reminds me like of the Ren Fair. It's like that's what I keep thinking. It's like they're going to a Ren Fair, like, filled with white racists, like all the Ren Fairs in the Northwest.
So they all wear white with like some runes on their stuff. A lot of the guys wear dresses, and it's supposed to represent kind of how they view that nature's kind of hermaphroditic.
Okay.
And they're very much into nature. They explain some things like they view their life cycle as seasons. So you start out like you're there up to a certain amount, then you kind of go on excursion for a bit for your summer.
They don't talk in that weird shit like, oh, I'm 12 winters old.
No, but it's definitely your life has a cycle. So you have like your
you're in your
spring
phase.
when you're a kid, so you're there in that society at a certain point. You leave, that's your summer. You come back, then you're like an elder, and then you have like your final phase before you die.
Winter, when you get frozen and rigid and hate life and kill everything.
Now, what's really cool also about this is you start seeing the way that they interact, and you find that they also not just speak to each other, but they can also kind of read each other's like little affect. They call them affects. So they also communicate just almost through the way they move,
gestures,
Okay, so
that body language.
Yeah. So you know that throughout the film now a bit that there's some stuff they could be communicating to each other, not just verbally.
And it's not all obvious. It's not like
but there's also like they'll greet each other sometimes in slightly different ways. Like some, they'll greet each other by holding the back of their heads, but then others like they'll put their hands like there. So there's little variations. And you'll see different people and they're playing games, and then they set up this field so you know kind of what everything is, or at least they'll show it to you if they don't explain it. So you'll have like the area where they generally prepare food or slaughter, a huge barn essentially that everybody sleeps in, a house where it's their religious library. There's a bear in a cage in the field. You also see like this first shot of a banner, and you get a first look at the artwork, and the artwork is very important because that's where it really starts foreshadowing everything. There's also art towards the beginning of the film that foreshadows later too. You can see
the progression of the story.
In this artwork where it shows basically a spell. You can tell this is something that you're supposed to do to somebody else for them to fall in love with you. It's not hard to read. They really want you to know that. There's also some stuff, though, that did happen before this, where any artwork you see in the first couple scenes before they're even in this country does foreshadow a little bit later in the story.
So you're like,
here's a field. That artwork doesn't look like this medieval artwork. It doesn't look like it, but it still has that foreshadowing effect.
Has that bear from The Shining that blows the dude.
There's also like a dead tree, the place where they eat, and a house kind of towards the back of the field that no one's allowed into.
But it gives you a good sense of where everything's at.
Yeah, that's what's really cool, is you really get to kind of get an idea of this is a
because there's a lot of times when you're in those kind of closed locations that you don't know where shit's at. Like every time Jason's running around Crystal Lake, I'm like, how big is Crystal Lake? Like, where is the path? Then I go back to that Nintendo game. I'm like, it's a circle? Get out of there! Yeah. And it can't be a circle. But, that's what I'm getting at. When you have that closed location, so in horror movies, where you don't get the sense of being able to escape, it's really good to know where the stuff is. Gives it a more sense of dread to actually knowing, I think.
And then you get the idea that, this is a special time of year in that it's a festival, essentially. There's supposed to be, like, different rituals and stuff festivities that are going to happen, the next couple days. And one of them is like a feast that happens, I think, in that first day. And you'll see, two people come out from that back house that they're not allowed into, and they, preside over the dinner without talking.
It's all like creepy looking, like
a little bit. And
you're super white.
What that's going to lead to is the festivities of the next day, and you see they're all going to sleep in the same area in that barn, and inside that barn there is a ton of that artwork, like everywhere. And they don't shy away from it, so you can really take your time looking at the artwork through the scenes. So when other stuff is going on and they're talking, you can really look at the artwork and go like, okay, this is possible. What's this going to refer to? How is this going to be interpreted?
Create the tension too, because you're like
a little bit, because you're like, oh, that looks like a couple maybe having sex, or what is going on there? And the boyfriend in the movie and then one of the students, they're getting the idea they're going to do like one of their theses on this culture.
Oh, okay, like anthropology study or something.
Yeah, and they get some permissions.
Like they didn't just come to bang Swedes. Like I would have been like, what? We're going to Sweden? Don't they have a bunch of crazy, like seeing Polly's girls?
Well, you start to see almost immediately that love ritual. One of the girls there starts that ritual on the boyfriend in the movie.
Oh, okay. And what's the ritual all entail? what you got to do to make a dude fall in love with you.
So it's like
just play rock music.
You put like a secret
tattoos.
Some of the runes underneath their bed while they're sleeping. Make them eat your pubes. Some of your period blood.
Oh my god.
Yeah, things like that.
I don't think that's how it goes.
Yeah.
I've been in a relationship a long time. It's not my favorite part. Yeah, that'll tell you. I've been there, done that, and that's not my best.
Hate
best
flossing my
nights.
teeth. What the fuck?
I know. I'm like, that's why I don't even eat sprouts anymore.
But the stuff of seeing what these rituals are, this is where I feel like it's like a more advanced Eli Roth, or I feel like Hostel's about this business, this really messed up business, and seeing how it operates beginning to end.
So the room,
and this is about how the society operates beginning to end, and how it's going to unfold. Now it's definitely
with a sense of taking evil out of it and putting in more of a mechanical aspect. Because that's what the Eli Roth part of Hostel felt like. It's like, this is just what we do.
Yeah.
This is day to day. You know, Green Inferno's like that, where it's just a day to day.
But this has a little bit more resonance and a little bit more, intent behind it, I guess. But it goes to the first ritual, and this is where the things start to fly off the handle.
Right. First ritual is pubes?
No, that's just having to do with the love spell. And that just kind of happens. That just kind of happens throughout the movie along with everybody else. That's almost a subplot.
Oh, okay. So these cats have literally been lured there by one of the cultists dudes that are like, oh, we got this cool festival. Come on. So, I mean, chimps, red shirts to my festival. Okay. So they got their normal ritual. That seems to be go. And if the sex ritual is secondary, what does the first ritual feel like it's all about?
The first one is just leading up to the final scene.
Okay, so it's all like
it's all leading up to the final scene.
But spoiler alert: this movie is on one scene.
This is to let you know a little bit more about the society, and also to kind of go, okay, these people aren't just nice hippies.
It's like trying to prep you for what's going to come.
A little bit. It is a scene where they do go a little bit off the course of their main grounds of where they do everything else to a cliff. And those people who presided on the dinner, they end up going on the cliff and cutting their hands and putting them on these rune rocks. And
which are like the same runes that the characters are wearing, right? Isn't that
it's just the language. It's the written language.
Yeah,
and they throw themselves off the cliff to kill themselves, because that's at 72 you kill yourself. You
just wipe somebody. Yeah, that's old Viking stuff.
Yeah, and they mention like one of the person knows it. He's like, oh my god, we're gonna witness it. So like, what are we gonna witness? And he's like, oh, you'll see. And it's gnarly. Like that is the gore part of the movie is especially with the
so they land and explode like fucking bags of meat.
First woman just lands on a rock. A huge rock, and then it's just she practically explodes, and the guy misses the rock and like lands on his feet. So his leg goes, and then they have to go with a mallet and smash his face. And it's like,
what happens when you miss the rock?
Yeah, they smash it on the rock. Make sure that we're in the frame. Okay, looks like we are.
Make sure I get continuity. I should put some tape on the floor so I don't look like I've been teleporting around with these edits. Yeah. So we kill this dude. The dude gets malleted. You're saying? So
and the main character, she has to freak out thinking about like her parents dying and stuff.
Okay. So that's a little bit of a mirror. She's got old parents dying through suicide.
Yeah, and this is where two of the characters that aren't part of her group, but they are part of a group of outsiders.
Lose their shit, I imagine.
Yeah. They're like, we're leaving, and as the day progresses, there's a part where you see the woman of that couple, like, where's my, husband, boyfriend, or her fiance? And they're like, oh, he left you. There wasn't enough room in the car that was taking guys to the airport. So we need to get you later. So then you're like, oh, wait. That sounds really...
That's ominous as fuck. Yeah. I left without my girlfriend.
Yeah.
They're dead. Dead as fuck.
And, there starts to be more and more rituals like that throughout the movie, and they start affecting the people more with...
So more suicides?
No.
Rituals, or just more
but just more moments. Like it starts to escalate fairly quickly after that.
Okay.
To where they have her part of a maypole type festivity, and her boyfriend is also taking some other drug meant to get rid of his inhibitions more. They separate him for him to go to his weird orgy.
Nice. So is that where the first husband was? Is that the orgy?
Actually, so
he's like, this is great.
Here's a part where she's the main woman's going to her boyfriend like, oh, you know, this other woman, her boyfriend left her, and this doesn't sound right to me. Her boyfriend though, who's still there at the camp, is talking to them about
this orgy.
No, like he's talking like as if it's part of his studying them, but like, well, how do you guys produce? Is there what do you call it? Inbreeding? And they're like, oh well, you know, sometimes we have to bring in outsiders, you know, into our society. And you're also like, okay, this spell is affecting you. You're like, can I bang this chick that's all about me? You know,
the chick is all about him. Is she obviously inbred?
No, but this is great. So when they're also trying to look at what their religion stuff is, they get taken to see these books, and these books are, some of these pages are just paintings of gobbledygook. Just, they are nothing, and then they get reinterpreted by somebody else. Now the person who's doing these original paintings is super inbred. Now, think Preacher, the Jesus in Preacher.
So he's all fucking... oh shit, we don't mean that in a offensive way.
Super inbred.
We meant inbred.
And so he does the paintings, and then they reinterpret it.
So it's a bunch of full shit. Do they just like smoke that drug, whatever the guys are having, blow it in on them all the time?
And they just constantly add to their text and stuff, and he's unaffected by the normal clouded mind is like their yeah.
So is he using this to his advantage, get all the cult pussy? And
I don't know. He looks all jacked. So if you see the trailer of that blonde guy who's jacked in the lip, that's their oracle.
Okay,
that's their oracle.
Well, he must know something.
Yeah. But eventually, you know, the person who's like the comedy relief, he sticks his foot in it really bad, where he pisses on a tree that looks dead, and it's like, this has to do with our dead ancestors. One of the guys is super pissed about that. So then he disappears pretty quickly after that.
And you would think,
they're like, there was another girl that kind of liked him. They're like, oh, he went off with her.
So if you're in the group, you're like, you're starting to ask questions like, where's so and so? Like he's fucking.
Yeah. And then that night, one of the two characters, not the boyfriend, but the other character who's also studying society, he starts trying to take pictures of their tome. So, you know, he's gone. But, you know, you don't see him necessarily get immediately killed. You do see him more towards the end of the end scene of the movie stuff happen.
So you just watch him like get pulled into the darkness?
Kinda. Okay. Stuff like that.
And then revealed what he's done?
I don't know, probably get a lot quicker.
Okay, guys, we are not on cocaine. This looks bad.
No, I have an allergy.
I've been doing the same thing. I've had 4 Red Bulls tonight. This CBD cola.
I'm about 12 hours past when I probably should have went to sleep.
Yeah, so we're filming this roughly 1:30 in the morning.
This is my third pass at doing this video, so
yeah, because there's just so much to take in. There's a lot of shit here. The movie's creepy. It's something I want to watch, but at the same time, I'm maybe turned off by.
When they take her, she becomes like the Mayflower Queen after
because she's the most fertile.
It's almost like her. Like now she's feeling like part of a real family.
Okay. Coincidentally, since her family's murked.
Now her boyfriend gets summoned to the side during some of this, and he ends up banging the woman who has the spell on him. But they take him into this room.
Yeah, I want you to describe this, because at first your Facebook post said, if there could be the opposite of the sex scene in The Handmaid's Tale, this was it. I was like, I'm back in. So now it's turned out.
So she's like on the ground, then there's a bunch of other women kind of surrounding her. A lot of them not necessarily attractive. Some are, but some are also like very old or
white girls,
fat, and just all over the spectrum. And when he starts having sex with her, they start moaning. Then like one of them goes up to him and is like, "Oh, touch my breast, look in my eyes." And then this old lady gets behind him and starts pushing him into her. And you're just like, ah, that's awesome. Terrible.
Reminds me of the
visceral feeling.
Wait, yeah.
So
yeah, like you can feel her claws in the butt. So it is all like
I can only describe it.
Hag fingers.
But watching it is something else.
Is it funny that she got like a face like?
Kinda, yeah. They're into it. They're like, you're gonna go to town here.
Give her all the cum.
And when he comes, she's like, oh, I can feel the life inside of me already, or something like that. Yeah. Oh, and he's all kinds of high. He can barely keep himself together.
He's just all like 900 versions of Viagra and fucking PCP, super ecstasy. I'm guessing here.
Well, he can just barely hold himself together. Like, he's kind of scared a little bit when anybody does anything to him.
Well, I would imagine.
He's supposed to get his defenses down. And then after that, they kind of bring him back out there and summon everybody together. You see some of the people they've captured, like... and you get this idea that everything culminates in 9 sacrifices. And she has to choose
symbolism.
The final person. There's a couple people who surrender themselves, who are part of the cult.
So they're like, kill us, we're good.
Then a bunch of the people that they've already killed, and she has to select one. And she witnesses the very end of the...
Coming?
Yeah.
So did they bring her to it?
Him. Yeah.
Like, oh, we gotta show you something.
Or she hears it. She ends up going up there.
Well, if the whole group is moaning, like, what's happening over there?
And so she chooses him, and it ends in this big scene of...
They want to break up anyway.
Yeah. Of her, like... She chooses him, and they put him into the bear.
And did they kill the bear?
Yeah, they killed the bear.
Oh,
they put him inside of it like a tauntaun. Just sew it over him. And he's supposed to be like part of this ritual where they rid the evil spirit that oppresses the society. And so they end up
with
the
forest.
Yeah. This is going to be kind of sped up to just kind of the end. You see all these people, some of them dead, wind up in that room that no one's supposed to go into, and him and the bear in the middle. A lot of them alive, not everybody. They burn it up for that final ritual.
They just burn that whole house down with everybody in it?
Yep.
Everybody in the cult?
No.
So they all, okay,
no, just the 9.
Just the 9. Okay, and some of the 9 are
some are prisoners. One's the guy in the bear suit. Some are the previous people that, like, that one guy who's the Joker, they literally put him in, like, a jester
looks like
hat.
Sid from Toy Story.
So he was supposed to be, the Joker or something.
Like a full character.
A full character that they are supposed to sacrifice.
Wow.
And in a way, she's kind of happy. She's accepted. She has a family. She's kind of the new queen.
So there's the Eli Roth part, because we got the Green Inferno is a very similar outcome. Yeah. Look for that episode coming up next.
Yeah. That'll probably be like right after this. Yeah, like probably like 2 days after.
Because our numbers are all, it'll probably be episode 17,000.
I mean, that one's done. It's in the can. I wanted to put it up now, but I want to get this video up first, because this is relevant for this weekend. Yeah, so I mean,
the movie looks creepy. It definitely shows like some of the darker parts of like white religious lore.
Yeah, a lot of it's this cool thing of the society of the rooms, the very look of the art, all their rituals. It's this whole like well thought out society. The way they move, even. It's just very well thought out.
To me, this movie reinforces why I believe in cultural appropriation. Right? I mean, here are just white people in the woods sacrificing a lot of people for what, one chick's baby? I'm not sure what these are two separate. Is that so they're...
This is for their whole society can keep going.
The farm will grow. It's the Wicker Man moment. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of similarities to Wicker Man.
Okay, yeah, the bear. And I was like, this is the guy who's in the bear suit. Does he punch a chick? I was like, that's the best part of the Wicker Man. Violence.
So their way of getting through the relationship.
Yeah, that's why you gotta share cultures, man. You gotta share ideas. You can't just keep not sacrificing 9 people in your... That's good. They gotta burn a house every year? Is this every year the festival?
No, I think they said it's supposed to be every 90 years.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not so bad. I mean, I wouldn't think the whole town's that evil if like we just do this every once in 90 years. Like we can do this, right? Like,
yeah.
Some of them could live, die without ever having to be part of.
I guess you really
suicide.
Maybe that was like too much, but you definitely get an idea that a lot of this kind of happens every couple. Yeah, every couple years something like this probably happens.
Well, so then if they said 90 years, but they're also seasonal.
Well, there's also just
divided by 4.
Everybody
years.
kills themselves at 92, so there's got to be that same time of the year where they kill themselves. Could be, or it's 72 or whatever.
Do you recommend this movie?
Yes.
Like it's a landmark horror. Like
some of the score too is cool because it has like how Hereditary kind of had the horns with that slightly unsettling thing. This kind of goes with strings
every once in a while.
Yeah. This goes with strings. But yeah, no, it's really good. It just doesn't have that shocking horror stuff. It has some, the great gore moments in the middle.
And that creepy, something about Mary old lady.
Yeah. I don't know if you call that a horror moment in the same way. It's definitely, it's unnerving.
Depends on where you come from.
It's unnerving, so it's not that same thing. Like, I can't, I mean, I don't know. It's different. It's
like grandma tits. Like, is she naked too? And she's like,
yeah.
Fuck that fool. Yeah. All right, well, I don't know. Maybe he wasn't doing it right. She would know. 90 years of XP cracking in there. Yeah, definitely. She's like, you gotta do it like move it up in there.
All right, so we're gonna get on to our next video and see you later.
Check for the Underhold.
All the liking and
put all that stuff down below about how clearly Sinclair's on below.
Yeah.
How we missed a bunch of stuff in this movie. How we don't respect Nordic culture or the Renaissance fairs of the Northwest. I mean, quit wearing Thor hammers unironically. Alright? You're supposed to pretend you're a Viking. Don't wear them. You're white supremacist motherfuckers. Alright, until next time. I'm Robert, I'm Sinclair.
And that was the Underhold.